Another episode of Catching Up with CMO and Shep. He is Craig Monroe. I'm Matt Shepard. And today we visit with a key cog of Detroit's 2006 team that went to the World Series. Nate Robertson joins us on Catching Up with CMO and Shep. Coming up next. And glad you're back with us here for another edition of CMO and Shep, Catching Up with CMO and Shep. We hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. 2006, for sure, in many people's Tigers fans' minds, was the turning point for them. They became massive Tiger fans then. It's a younger generation. For me, it was 1983, 1984. For a lot of people, it was 2006. CMO was part of it, and so was Nate Robertson, and he is our guest here on Catching Up with CMO and Shep, and we're glad that he's joined us. I remember that season, Nate. You were 13-13 that season. I thought you were one of the more underappreciated players that team had. I know CMO doesn't feel that way. What do you remember most about 2006 and that special campaign?
Well, it's easy to remember, obviously, going to the World Series. Definitely there weren't expectations from anybody for that to happen. And I even believe we were picked, I think, fourth in the division preseason. So that run, kind of like they're having this year, it just kept on happening. I mean, we just kept on winning games. I actually went and looked back on that when CMO had called and figured we'd talk a little bit about that team. But I think we got up to like 39 games over 500 that year. And we just, like I said, it was just every day you just felt like you're going to go out and win. And it kind of started out of the gate in Texas and it was just it was a lot of fun. And we had a great group of guys. Mm-hmm. It was fun to come to the ballpark and be with guys like CMO and like you wanted to go to the ballpark every single day, as opposed to 2003 when you dreaded going.
You didn't want to go to the ballpark.
That was horrible.
Nate, think about this. Do you truly believe this? And I do. I believe this. I think it started in spring training. There was just a different vibe. There was a different feel around our team when we got to spring training with Jim Leyland.
Correct. I think obviously his first season with us, but he set you could say set a tone, had a culture that he created, really, in my opinion. He'll always put it on the players that, you know, when the team's doing well, it's on the players. When the team's doing bad, it's on the coaching staff. And so he was just like that. But he met each player where they were at. I remember the first time that I met him, I think we were doing Tiger Fest, and we were all up there, you know, how that all goes down. But anyway, I was in the training room waiting for where I was supposed to be or whatever. And he comes walking in and like, he asked me how, we didn't have any children at the time, but he asked me how Kristen was doing. And I was like, how do you know my wife's name, man? But he took the time. He was so genuine about that. He took the time to get to know each and every one of his players. And then, like you said, CMO, that in spring training, you know, he just mosey around in spring training, just walk up to you and in the end, he just made you want to play for him every single day. He made you want to play for him.
Well, CMO said that about you too, that you made him be a better player and a better teammate than I want to get to. But you had mentioned, you know, the difference Leland made and made you feel like, you know, you were important. How did you know where your role was? How did you know how you fit in? Let's face it, the year before, you didn't have the same year you had in 2006 when you threw over 200 innings. You had a 3.5 wins above replacement. Those are big numbers right now, especially in today's baseball. How did you know where you fit in, and when did you know you were going to be his type of player?
Well, he let you know, but his confidence. Well, the confidence that you had was because I believe it. I mean, players go out there with their confidence, But I'll tell you, early on, actually, it was that West Coast trip that everybody made a big deal out of, which it was a big deal. It was after he had that interview with everybody in his office, and he got fired up, and well, I'm shooing away kids. So anyway,
it's family life, baby.
We had a great West Coast trip. It was after we had lost. I think it might have been Cleveland, but he said that the guys were just okay with that. We had won the series. You know, they were just okay. And he's like, I'm not going to tolerate
well,
that.
He didn't use those words, though, Nate. Let's be clear.
Well, we're going to have to omit some words.
Okay.
Right?
Well, all right. That's fine.
I think we are, right?
No, yeah. we don't have to admit anything. No.
Okay. Well, I can quote people, and it's not coming from me, but it's a quote.
It's fine.
But I had a game in Seattle that I was pitching, and it was a tight game, and I had gotten in position. I think it was late in the 7th inning. There was one out, and I was facing Raul Banez, so lefty on lefty, which I had very good success against lefties. I believe I hit him. I either hit or walked him, but I got him. He got on base, and then they had Richie Sexton come up, and I think he did very well against lefties, and certainly I think it was a 2-1 ball game, and if Richie put a good swing on it, then we're down. So I thought Skip was so this was, I think, maybe even the first game where Skip came out to the mound and just talked to you. Like normally when you see the manager coming out, you're coming out of the game.
Right.
So he's coming out, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm out. So I started reaching out to hand him the ball, which you respectfully do, and you stay on the mound to do so. And he kind of shooed me away. He didn't take the ball, so I'm sitting there going, okay, you got the bomber up here. And I just hit Raul, and so now you got the winning run at the plate. And he just basically just told me to finish the fucking game. And so I didn't finish the game. However, I got Richie to ground into a double play.
Oh, nice.
And that finished the 7th. And, of course, we had the freaking, Zamaya on standby who comes in and blows freaking 103. But I got in the dugout, and that was the end of my day. But Leland comes down. He doesn't say a word to me. And I wish I could show you this little dance kick that he did. But he comes, I'm at the end of the dugout, and he walks down to me, and he does like this little kick thing, and then he walks away. Like it was excited for me, but he was like telling me basically, I told you so, like this is, so the confidence, like you knew where you stood. And he had enough confidence in me just because we got shifted around in the rotation for the playoffs because we let the Royals sweep us, and then we went in as a wild card. He was confident enough with me to start game 1 of the division series, game 1 of the ALCS.
That's a big deal, man.
That is a big deal. And I was on that staff. I was, probably the number 4. You had Kenny, and you had Verlander, and you had Bonderman, and probably then came me. But I will note this: I'm pretty sure I had more quality starts. The 6 innings, 3 runs or less than any of them.
Toot. Are you tooting right now? Hey, let's talk about Kenny Rogers. I want to talk about Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
How important was he? When he was the leader of that pitching staff, he took all you guys under his wing. What did you learn from Kenny?
Well, the great part about Kenny was very approachable. You could ask him any question. He didn't come up to tell you something. He wasn't that guy that was like, hey, well, this is what you ought to do. He was a guy that he didn't come to you, but he was very open if you went to him. And so you could pick his brain about 1,000 things. And there's guys, myself, we were a pretty young pitching staff until Kenny came. And so guys like Bonnerman and Verlander, they all 3 of us fed off of him. And so one of if you ever watched Kenny on the mound, his presence, there was no situation where he got, he panicked. And then there were situations like he told me, he said, look, the guy, if there was less than 2 outs, the guy on third base, and there's a lot of young guys, and I did this too, where you didn't want him to score. That was where you focused your attention, right? So if you had your attention focused on that guy at third base, you were losing attention at home plate. And then it could kind of unravel where he said, that guy's probably going to score, but you get this guy out. Talking about the guy at home plate, the hitter. So there was always like things like that. And obviously with his experience, 20 years in the big leagues, that's a pretty good guy to listen to and his success. But he was, I always called him Big Brother. He was tremendous for the staff, and he was the right thing at the right time. And you got to tip your cap to Dombrowski and bring in all the guys that went through hell with the 03 squad, giving us all a shot, right, CMO? And then he kind of he kept the guys that were going to probably be part of a core future. And then they started bringing in the Pudges, Maglios, Kennys, Todd Jones, some of those veterans, and it was just perfect timing. And then it obviously ended up into a World Series that we should have won.
Well, there's no question about that. We will tell people this for forever, right? That we just thought you were the better team than St. Louis, and not just because of record. And we can get into that if you want to. But I wanted to know what you learned about yourself. How did Leland going out there on occasion, giving you that talk, starting you in the divisional series, starting you in the playoffs the way he did, what did you learn about yourself, and how did that help you the rest of not just your career, but maybe your life?
Well, again with Leland, I think he was about to retire after Colorado.
He did.
Yeah, he did. But there was something there for him. I mean, you saw a guy, a man that he had to have that passion before he did it, and he self-admittedly said that, like he's felt like in Colorado he just didn't have that passion anymore, and that's why he walked. But whatever reignited that passion spread throughout the clubhouse, and CMO can attest to that as far as like he cared so much, and so like he wanted so much for us. He wanted us to care, like he wanted us to see that passion. He wanted us to experience that not only as a player but in life, and experience that, the joy that came with it. I mean, win, lose, but you still had the joy, but you had the passion. You still had the passion to come back out, even if it was a bad day, to have that passion. And he would have these mostly on a bad day. Actually, all the time on a bad day. He would come out of his office, and you know where that's at, in the clubhouse. Yeah. And he would just be cursing, man, coming down the hallway. And I remember one time he had air us out, and we're just standing there, just like wearing it. And it was quiet. We didn't say a damn word, but he had all of our attention. And I remember one time Kevin Rand, our head trainer at the time, he had been with Skip in the past. And so you can hear this voice getting louder and louder as he comes down to the hall and then into the clubhouse. And then he turned around. He's still doing it, going back down to his office. And then everybody started getting ready to, get your uniform off, shower, and all that other stuff. And I remember Rand going, "Hey, stay right there. He ain't finished yet." And sure enough, comes his ass down. He's coming right back down the hallway, and then he went back down. And then sometimes, 3 or 4 times, but he taught. I think he taught a lot. I mean, baseball and life really are hand in hand in the way that success comes with consistency, and it's not perfection. And I think that's a big one. That's one of the lessons I feel like I learned from him, is that, we weren't going to be perfect in baseball, and baseball's like built on imperfection, but so is life. As long as you're consistent in life, there's going to be a lot of success that follows. I mean, consistently, doing good things or even great things, but then there's going to be the fall, and then you got to be consistent and get right back up on the saddle. So anyway, that's, to me, those were some of the on-field lessons and in-life lessons that I got from him.
That's well.
Well, I got a question for you. I want to test your memory. I want to see if you remember this.
Oh, don't do this to me, Steve.
No, I have to. Do you remember the letter that he read to us?
Yes.
How did that hit you? There's a letter. Nate, you can tell the story, but there's a letter about being a champion and what it takes. Tell the viewers a little bit about how that message hit you. I got goosebumps right now thinking about that message. How did that message hit you?
Well, first of all, CMO, I'm going to try to one-up you. Do you still have it?
I don't. You still have it?
So I kept mine because it did. It hit me the same way it hit you. But you remember it, and it's in your heart forever. And that goes back to being personable with each player. Like, he sat down one night, and who knows when, and maybe it was over a glass of wine and a cigarette, knowing him.
Definitely the latter.
The hitter. Hey, Nate, he was really good too, right? He could hide that. He could hide that heater under his hand really good.
Yeah, you can do the
quick.
You can do the little hand.
I go, so Skip, why are you doing that? He goes, you guys make me smoke cigarettes all freaking day. You're freaking
right
throwing
there.
the ball around.
It was right in there. That little
Yeah, he was
right
good
here.
at it, man.
But yeah, so that letter, it was just he took the time to write that out, and then he gave it, like, he sent it out. It was via mail to every guy. That, well, I mean, I can't speak to how many people. I mean, it was obviously the players that were going to be on the team, absolutely. I don't know if he sent it to everybody that was coming to camp or what, but I did keep that letter, and it really impressed me about him. Some people go to the field and it's a job to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely is a job, but he went to the field to embrace relationships. And he got sad when a guy, that struggled and either was demoted or traded. Like, he will still to this day. And I want to tell you something really cool. I had this accident back in, January, and somehow it spread like wildfire. And I'll tell you this with current people. I got phone calls and I got texts, and Trammell did, Hinch. We played with Hinch, SEMO.
Yep.
And checking in on me, see how I'm doing. And I saw a missed call. I saw a missed call back. I really didn't. I set my phone down quite a bit, and I saw a missed call though from Skip Leland. And so I'd wanted to call him back, and I didn't. I was planning on calling him back, and because I kind of figured why he was calling. And he was. So I was playing golf, and it's been, I don't know, at least a month, probably about a month ago or so. And I was I can remember the hole. It was the fourth hole of this place I golf at, and I'm golfing with a buddy, and I look down, the phone's ringing, and I'd never pick up my phone unless it's my wife on the golf course. I think it's a sin when you do that. But I look down, and it's Leland. And he was actually at the golf course as well.
Oh wow!
No way.
He was getting ready. He was getting ready to play, and he was just calling to see how I was doing, and see if my health was good, and just wanted to check in on me. And I'm like, man. And this is months later after I had. So he tried a couple times, just to check in on me.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. Just see how my health was. See how I was doing.
I think people view him as a gruff guy.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be competing right now in golf, and now you're making me all soft. So anyway, he's an amazing man.
Yeah, they see him as a gruff, cigarette smoking, using the four letters every once in a while, shooting straight. But deep down, he's a really caring individual.
Shoot, man.
I know how much he thinks of my partner here. I know when things changed in our broadcasting careers, he literally was one of the first people to call me. And it meant an awful lot. He's just like, I just want you to know. And he gave me, full support. He's a wonderful man. And he's probably the best joke teller you've ever heard. Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong about that?
He's one of the best.
And he can be very animated about it too.
When I hear good jokes, I think of him right away, and I want to call him right away with good jokes, not bad ones, but good ones. So that was a really important part. But you made a transition from starter to reliever. How challenging was that? And how did you feel about that when you had to make that move?
Well, not by choice, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. When you're routined, as you talked about, like, where you fit in and your role and all that stuff. I mean, I always saw myself as a starter, and it's very difficult. So when people talk about that, I see these guys that do transition, and typically they're bigger arms. They're the guys that, because your big arms in this minor league system, you got a shot when you're either starting or closing, and most of the time what's in between there, you don't see like a big prospect as a seventh inning guy in the minor leagues. You see the closers and the starters, and then they convert into whatever they have you for. Because I think Zamiah used to start even.
Correct.
Yeah, he was. He was a starter in the minor leagues.
And then he came up, but he was like a back end, just blow the torch kind of guy. But we had some pretty good arms back in. You had Rodney and you had Todd Jones as well. But anyway, going back to the transition, I didn't do very good with that. I didn't perform well at that, and my last game in the big leagues was walking off as a Philly. The Phillies signed me to start because Jamie Moyer was hurt, and I get there. I made 2 starts in Lehigh, and they call me up, and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to start when I get up there. And that was a really good team in 2010. They had some dudes. So I get up there, and then they advance a guy named Vance Worley. He, okay, this is going to be in your podcast. Hey, go Weedy.
That's parenting fatherhood 101 right there.
There.
So anyways, they said they're going to go with Vance Worley, and okay, this is getting great. That's why you don't do these things on cell phones. So somebody just called in. Vance Worley got the start. And then it was actually, oh shoot, why am I drawing a blank? It doesn't matter. It said, hey, you just go to the bullpen tonight. So I'm going. I haven't relieved at all. And this year, I did a little bit in 2009, and then but 2010 I started with the Marlins all year, and then I started when I signed with the Phillies, and then they put me in the bullpen. I threw 1 total inning out of the pen, and I got released. My last outing, they bring me in to face, so we played the Marlins, my former team of that year, and they brought me in with bases juiced to face Stanton. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's sweet. I got out of that outing. I threw a third of an inning. The next night, Cole Hamels is up 10. We're up 10-0. He's throwing a freaking gem. He finishes the 8th inning with a shutout going. And then they called down there, and I'm going, this better not be me in a mop-up deal. Mm-hmm. They said, get Robertson going. So I'm like, I don't even know how to get fired up that quick. So I'm like moving around, and I'm like asking guys what I should do. And I started warming up, man, and I feel like I pulled something in my shoulder, but then I didn't want to be the guy that said, oh, I can't pitch. My shoulder hurts. Because we saw a lot of that lame duck stuff happen with guys that they weren't hurt. They just didn't want to throw in a situation like that. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up going out there and trying to grind. It was a cool night in Philly, and I thought I should have said something. I struck the first guy out, and then the next guy hit a little flare and went off Chase Utley's glove. He was right behind Howard, and I thought that would have been out number 2, just get through it and then say something to the trainers. And yeah, I got another out. And then I didn't get another out.
Oh, no.
It just went
so they had to bring in another guy. I gave up 5 or 6 runs. Oof. And one of them was cashed in. And those Philly fans, man, I didn't know. I knew him as an opponent. But it's worse as a opponent. Like, if you're on the team and you don't do well, oh, my gosh.
They let you have it, huh?
Sold out that night. and I was booed every step of the way. And then the next morning I was released.
See, people think about the glory, right? When
Yeah.
you're on the field, you're just success, and you're in the big leagues. Let's talk about that feeling when you are called to that office, and you get that bad news. How hard? I mean, that you want to talk about break your heart?
Because you can relate.
Oh, I can relate. Like, it breaks
Yes.
your heart when you have to walk into that office, and they're saying, "Hey, thank you for everything you've done.
We wish
But
you
we
the best.
wish you the best." What is that feeling like? What was that feeling like for you?
Well, I had so we were going to New York via train to play the Mets the next day, and you know how we go to the stadium, and the clubhouse attendants take your. Can you guys hear that? Is that too loud?
No, it's
No,
great.
it's great.
Fire away.
Okay, so go.
Go eating.
What? I'm on a deal. Podcast
This is real.
starts at the house. Just go find some spots. Seriously,
Great
I'm on
direction.
a podcast. Go.
Kids are saying, you can't be. You
Good
can't be on a
gracious,
podcast.
man.
You wouldn't be doing this. It's real.
Unbelievable. Okay, so now I'm back. That feeling. So we're going to New York to play the Mets, and the clubhouse attendant took my luggage. So I'm like, okay, and this is September, by the way, mind you, and they're going to the playoffs, Phillies, and so I get there, and I was called. I was one of the first there, and so my luggage is taken. I have, I'm gonna go grab. I had my little suitcase, roll on for the ride. And I got called to the office, going there. Charlie Manuel's sitting there. And the pitching coach. And then the GM's not there. And so Charlie Manuel is an outstanding human being. Simo, did you ever meet him?
I've met him, but hadn't had really, conversation with him. Just said hello to him. And
he's such a great guy, man. And he's sitting there, and I was like, oh, here it is. And so he's like, well, Nate, and so he's trying to get it out. And I know it's like probably tough for me. He's like, you're very well respected. And, I know that, we signed you as a starter, and, then we put you in the pen so that, but, we decided that there's a young kid we're going to claim off waivers, and we need a spot in 40-man, and so we're going to go a different direction. And so I'm sitting there, standing there, and the only thing I could think of is I was like, Charlie, I respect the heck out of you, and I understand. I said, but where's the GM at?
right.
Why isn't he here to talk to me? He's the one that made the move. Where's he at? I said, that's bullshit. And then I said, and I shook their hands, and I just walked out, man. That was it. And I was like, oh, this might be it. I don't know. And it was it in the big leagues. And I try to make it, but it's a terrible feeling, Simo. You know how it feels, man. But here's what I learned from that. I try to make a comeback, and we'll just fast forward through the next 4 years. I went to the Mariners. I got hurt again, had another surgery. And then I signed with all kinds of teams. I actually signed with the Cardinals. Holy shit.
Yeah. Why would you do a thing like that?
Right.
That was 2010. But then I signed with the Blue Jays, and then I was in Bob Stanley. Remember him? He was the pitcher that when Bill Buckner, this famous ball between the legs
For Boston.
Stanley was on the mound when that happened. Anyway, he was the pitching coach in Vegas, AAA Blue Jays, and they had tried to groom me as a starter for them to have some depth, and I was just getting my butt lit. And Stanley pulls me aside after that one of these starts. He's like, "Hey, Nate." He's like, "You ever thought about dropping down or trying something different?" I said, "No." He goes, "Because you're not a starter anymore."
The reality hits. Yeah. That's tough.
So moving forward and all that, I did actually go down. And I started throwing down low, and I'd thrown well. I had a heck of a year in AAA with the Rangers. They never called me up. And then I got no calls after that. So 2014, I called up David Chad, who he's like we're friends, and he lives here just outside of Wichita. And I had just said to him, I said, hey, listen, can you just get me to camp and just give me, if I retire, I want to retire a Tiger.
That's cool.
So he got me to camp, and I pitched well at camp. Then I went to Toledo, and I was pitching well. They came to look at me and see how I was doing. I just wasn't throwing enough strikes. I was pitching fine. I'd get out of trouble. I got done after one game, and then all of a sudden I didn't pitch for 6 or 7 days, and there's your little Blues clue.
Yep, the writing on the wall.
so I mean, they were pitching me quite a bit just to get a good look, and they call me in, and I get released. Parrish told me that he's like, hey, are you ready to retire? And this was May. I'm like, well, dang, man, I trained all season. I don't know, like right now. So that was going to be it. And I remember going back to the clubhouse. Here's a funny story for you. So I come back to the clubhouse, and I went into the office after the game. They let me know the news. And when you also, they load up your luggage and all that stuff on the bus. We were going to Columbus. And so I come back in, and my luggage is sitting there. And some of the players got off the bus, come back to me and said, hey, man, sorry. And they were like, really somber about it. And sorry that you got, because I connected with those guys pretty good. And I said, guys, here's the deal. You sign up for it.
Yep.
You sign up for it. You sign up for all the good and all the, the glory, and you sign up for when it's not so good. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told them. I said, for your future careers, I wish you the very best, and you signed up for what's great about it, and you're going to sign up for that day that comes. It's going to come. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, CMO, the writing's on the wall, and not many of us get to walk away from the game. That's one thing I learned from Todd Jones. He said when he retired, he had a great career. And I was like, Todd, you sure you want to retire? And I said, you still got stuff in the tank. He said, Nate, not many get to walk away from the game the way they want to. And he goes, I'm walking away the way I want to. The game's not telling me.
That's cool.
And so you see the Jeters and all the, the farewell tours, the David Ortiz, and every guy that just get to wave their hat to all the stadiums, and they get gifts and stuff like that. Well, that's maybe 1% of baseball.
Right.
They walk away they want to, and most of us don't. So that's not the funny story. The funny story is that when I came back to my locker after talking with the boys, it wasn't my bag. It wasn't my suitcase.
No.
The bus had already been gone for a while.
Oh, no.
It took the wrong
Toledo
one off.
Joe, you remember him? He's
Yes,
still there,
I remember Joe.
I go, Joe, dude. I said, that's not my suitcase. And he looked at me and like with the oh shit face. I said, that ain't my suitcase.
Somebody didn't have their
So
their
it was on the
belongings.
bus, dude. And they were halfway to Toledo or to Columbus.
Oh,
they were
nice.
halfway to Columbus, which isn't a super far drive, but they were like an hour and a half out.
Well, we can't let you go on a somber note like that. We've got to go back because I wanted to talk about gum time, which I know Shep's not really on board with the gum time thing, but I want people to know like how that started for you, because all I can remember is this big wad of gum in your jaw. Talk to me a little bit about how that began, how that got started for us that season in 06.
I've never talked about this before.
Of course not.
Does it get old? Look, before you get into it, does it get old? Because that's why I brought up the 13 wins, the ERA, the innings pitched, and the wins above
Well, nobody
replacement.
remembers that, though.
I know, but that's what stuck out with me. I know people love the goose and they love the gum, and that's fine. It's fine, but to me, it's funny. It's a good TV story. Don't get me wrong, but I remembered you for having a better year than just putting a bunch of wad of gum in your mouth. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Shep.
Yeah, you're
Keep
welcome.
on reminding them. I got to the point where I was telling people, I was on the team too.
Yeah, exactly.
First thing would be, hey, aren't you the gum guy? Or
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I
Big
am.
league chew.
I was also a pitcher.
Yeah.
On the team.
You were pretty good.
Yeah, pretty damn good one.
They gave me a uniform and everything. So anyway, they did the in-game mic stuff, which they still do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing there with Kenny Rogers, and they asked Kenny to do it. And he said, he goes, nah, because Kenny wasn't really into all that stuff. And he said, why don't you let one of these young fellers do it? And so then they asked me, and I said, I'll do it, but I'm kind of a boring guy. And so starting pitchers are easy targets because we're in the dugout and we're not doing anything. So game starts, got the mic on, we're playing the Yankees. They get up 5-0, and I'm just kind of going around telling guys, hey, you're supposed to let your teammates know that you got the mic on so they don't say something stupid. And then we're down 5-0, and then I said, hey, I'll throw you guys to the booth. I said, I'll throw you guys a bone. And I said, we did this rally deal when we were in Little League. We either had like seeds, we'd throw a bunch of seeds in our mouth, or gum. And that was like our rally chew. So I go back and I grab some Big League Chew, and I stuff a bunch in my mouth and got the camera on me. And then right when they get the camera on me and I'm stuffing that gum in my mouth, Pudge hits a home run. And so I was like, oh, that's great, whatever. And so there's interaction. But then as the game went along, I would let them know that I was going to throw in another rally chew, and I would put gum in. And every time I did it that game, we rallied, and we ended up tying up the game. And I did it I think at 3 times we get the game tied, and then it was just TV magic.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
No, that's how it happens. You got to hold on to something, Shep. You got to win games. You got to find a way. And that was one of those things that just kind of caught on, and
it's pretty cool.
It just kept rolling.
Yeah.
I've
and
heard...
SEMO, if you don't, that we led the league in comeback wins that year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember that.
Now,
so SEMO would throw it. Everybody started kind of like in the dugout. Somebody throw it in, at least at some point. We had some fun with it.
SEMO constantly talks about you as a guy who helped him and helped others, held guys accountable. Leader, I don't know if you want to go quite that far, but he talked about the influence you had. Were you recognizing how you were able to help others, including guys who were position players during that season?
I think it was. Did I recognize it? I just wanted to respect everybody more than anything else. I was taught that from my father. He was a military guy, and you shake a man's hand and you look at him in the eye, and it wasn't just about baseball. It was about just you'd see somebody struggle, or I struggle. You'd hope that we picked each other up. That was one of the biggest things. And me being a starting pitcher, being in, like I said, in the dugout, you also had to know the right time to speak to somebody. If they just had a freaking golden sombrero, it's not probably the right time to go up there and say, hey, man, it's okay. You're doing.
I had one of those. Yeah. We can talk about it. I had one of those. Okay.
Yeah. You don't. That's not a good time to go in and have an influence on anybody. They actually, when somebody has a bad outing or bad day or whatever, that's the time to leave them alone. And you just expect them to be a professional and know how to overcome that. Like I said, with the consistency. But I'll tell you another funny story. It's not really funny, but it's about Verlander. He had 2 spot starts in 2005, and we were playing Cleveland, and that was his first one. And so we always had like the pitchers meeting before the game, go over the hitters and all that stuff, and then Cleveland could bang it then. Mm-hmm. Like they could bang it.
Yeah, they could.
And they had, Grady Sizemore, Victor Martinez. They had Bronk. They had just a dumb lineup. And so me and Bonnerman we're in Cleveland, and we go, hey Verlander, do you want something on any of these guys? We're just gonna give them some information about like some of the experiences we had about some of the hitters and what they do and their approach and all that. He goes, no, I'm fine. And that is Verlander to the T.
It is.
So he just walks by us. No, I'm fine. I'm like, you little rookie punk ass. So anyway, he goes out there and he's throwing 100.
Yeah.
He's throwing 100. I think he hit 101 that game. and they freaking hit lasers off of him. First inning, they score 4 runs just hitting lasers. Travis Hafner I think he might have hit a laser home run, but they had 4 runs in the first, and I kind of looked over at Bonnerman, and he looked over at me, and it was just kind of like, yeah, take that.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine. But he ended up having a pretty, he's still doing it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Do you think he goes in as a Tiger?
I hope he does.
Me too. I hope he does too.
But
he won a championship.
Houston.
But he had a championship with Houston, so I don't know. I think Houston might be.
Yeah, it's he's got a couple, right? And he had a couple in Houston, or no?
No, he won the one.
Oh, I thought he had 2 rings. My bad. Yeah, he's played a long time in Houston.
Played a long time.
Not as long as he did in Detroit, but he played a long time in Houston. So you could understand it. So that's for sure. What are you doing today? Besides shooing your kids away, what else are you doing today?
Yeah, what's great is like when you have kids that are able-bodied, just point direction and say, "Go do it."
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's the dad thing to do, isn't it?
I love it so much, but you have to show them first. That's part of being a dad too. You got to show them how to do it. Other than that, I'm entertaining a guy that's in town tonight. He's actually, you can look him up. His name's Brandon Etheridge. He does these, plays piano to these videos on the internet. And I saw one of his little shows on Thursday, and he's friends of mine. And I have a place here in Wichita. It's called the Candle Club. It's a private club restaurant, and we have live music and we do like stuff. And I was like, I'd like to have you. He lives in New York, but he's from here. And he's only here for 5 days, but I'm going to entertain him tonight, see if that'd be something that he would want to do for us. That's just my evening. So that's real tough. We go eat dinner and have cigars.
Yeah.
Well, I'm available. I'm just so you know, I'm available. Anytime you need some live music, I am available. GC.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just GC and D.
Strum it, man.
Play a few songs for you. No, I'm joking. I'm only kidding.
That's so cool. You brought up the fact that your dad's was a military guy, and you shake hands with people and you look them in the eye and things like that. But you're a loose kind of guy. I mean, you're not. You've never been one of those. I mean, you're easily approachable. Okay. Where did it change? How was it so much different? Maybe your carefree attitude compared to perhaps your father's more strict upbringing in regards to that.
Well, the respect factor was huge, but it was also the work ethic and all of that. And I think it made it easier. I try to teach that to my son as well, is that, people, they recognize that, in the world. The world goes round with or without you, but people recognize when you go put in the work and you actually go and you listen. That's a big one, is you listen to people. And I found that just listening to people, that's probably where that comes from, is that there's people that come into a room, you're like, man, I don't want that. I do not want to talk to that person. I don't want to give that person the time of day. And if you have the ability to do that, I think that changes a lot of things, and it makes it, the easygoing part. Now, sometimes that can work against you, because then somebody might want to be too much of a friend. They might think you're friends all of a sudden.
God forbid you have that. You've got enough friends.
Oh yeah, but it came back. When I was younger, I wasn't really part of the crowd, and I recognized this really quick, that once I started becoming good at sports, and especially baseball, people all of a sudden wanted to come and I know you guys experience this all the time. I mean, and by the way, I'll make a little footnote of that. People loved you guys. They loved how you did it. I couldn't believe how much fun you guys. There was a time I was up there. Remember, we were in the outfield, and you guys had so much fun, and the Tigers were getting their ass kicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, they were playing the Blue Jays. They were playing the Blue Jays.
I remember that.
And we're sitting out there, and it was it's like, you feel for those guys out there because I've been there, and they're just getting crushed at home. And you had Gibby out in left field doing something weird. I don't know, but everybody was laughing, and you guys were having a great time. You were able to adjust to the room. You read the room, but you were able to adjust to that room.
Thank you.
And when the team wasn't doing good, you guys still made the audience. You held them captive.
Appreciate it.
And that's my opinion. But there was a lot of people that had that opinion of you guys. I enjoyed watching you. I got to see a lot of. I still follow the team, and I have my my app, but you see a lot of clips with the two of you guys that were when there was a play in the game, a difference maker. And you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
But yeah, going back to when I was younger, I didn't like how that felt for me, not being part of that, circle of people.
The in crowd, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. And then I saw that happen to people that, were made fun of because of the way they looked, maybe their weight, maybe their just their inability, their social skills. And then so you wanted to kind of try to bring that out in those individuals. And I remember this gal, she got made fun of a lot in my class. And she's a real smart girl. And I played at Wichita State, and she would come to the games just to come. Like she went to Wichita State as well, but she would come to the games just to come down. If I wasn't pitching, I was in the bullpen, but she would come down just to say hi, just to be, she's real sweet, but nobody ever talked to her.
Yeah.
And they made fun of her a lot, but once you just, that made it, I guess that goes back to what you were asking me about, that easy go, like that's kind of how it's when you learn, you have that experience yourself, and then you really don't want that for somebody else. And
it's a great lesson too.
It's a great life lesson.
Great life lesson.
That goes back to what Nate was saying earlier. I mean, baseball is a lot like life. Sports, I think, is a lot like life. You don't have to be a pro to experience it, but while you're growing up, it sure does teach you an awful lot. We learned an awful lot from you today, as always. We appreciate the smile. We appreciate the laughter. We appreciate the stories. Continued success, Nate. We hope we can do it again sometime. Thanks,
Fix your mug.
Hey, you guys keep doing this. I mean, this is a really great thing that you're doing. So I love that you're doing it.
Thank you.
Technology is not my thing. That's one thing I'm not good at, and I don't like social media and just keeping but you guys need to be out there doing this. I think it's a great thing, and I think you have a lot of fans out there that pay attention, and sometimes you don't even know they're paying attention. Some of the people that you never thought were paying attention pay attention. So you guys keep doing it.
Yeah, thanks,
We will.
Nate.
Thanks,
Appreciate
bud.
it, buddy.
Thanks for coming on.
Keep up the great work, man. All the best.
You got it. I'll talk to y'all
right.
later.
Yeah, get out there weeding with your son now, will you?
No chance. That's a no chance.
He's earned the chance to say goodbye and have somebody else do it. Real good stuff from Nate Robertson. Again, 13 wins that 2006 season.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Pitched more innings that year than Tarek Skubal pitched last year, by the way.
Yeah,
he was a workhorse.
Hey, he's also wearing number 29, but I will say this.
we thought we said goodbye a long time ago.
He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, he's a lot better number 29 than I was.
He's pretty damn good. He's
good.
But so are you. But an even better guest. Thanks again, Nate. We appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye, bye.
Speaking of that, I mean, Tarek Skubal's an all-star. We know that. We know there are 4 Tigers all-stars. We know there are 19 first-timers.
Yeah.
We also know that there are 65 overall. Could you make the case that Casey Mize and or Spencer Torkelson should be part of that crew headed to Atlanta as well?
You can definitely make that case. I'm a little disappointed that Casey Mize didn't make it.
9-2.
9-2.
At the time the All-Stars were selected, 9-2, okay, a 2.63 ERA. And at the time that they made the announcement, 3rd in wins with the 9, same as Zach Wheeler, same as Jacob deGrom, right?
Yeah.
Same as Carlos Rodon, Nick Pivetta, all with 9 wins. 7th best ERA in the American League and 13th best WHIP.
So when I hear numbers like that, it's like, how do you not?
Yeah.
And as a player, never getting a chance to make the All-Star, if I would have been able to put up those kind of numbers,
Yeah.
you would think you would get rewarded.
I
I think it's popularity, Shep. I go back to
Yeah.
that where everybody has to have a representative, every team. And I feel like that's why a lot of guys get snubbed. Listen, the guys that made it and got voted in, I mean, congratulations, kudos to them. But there's a lot of guys that put together solid first halves, and you just, and it's not that it's for nothing because your team believe in you, respect in it.
No.
But that's a personal thing, you know, accolade that, man, I did well enough to make the All-Star team. That's a special group.
Yeah, I think you could also make a case for Spencer Torkelson, who with Riley Green, at the time of the All-Star selections, both had 20 homers or more. Green just 2 away from his career-high 24 from a year ago. There are only 2 other Tigers who have done that prior to the All-Star game, okay? We're talking about guys like Mickey Tettleton, who did it with Cecil Fielder in 1993, Rocky Calavito and Norm Cash did it in 1961, both with 20 homers or more before the All-Star game. That's a pretty nice 1-2 punch and combo.
No, there's no question. Is when I think about that number,
20.
20.
Yeah.
I go back to when I did play here. Had 20 home runs for the whole season.
Yeah.
23 home runs another season. Like, for those guys to be hitting the ball and being as consistent as they are right now at a young age, I mean, that's special. And they're different. They're
Yeah.
different hitters. Not a lot of guys play this game and put up the kind of numbers that these guys are putting up.
Yeah, huge impact
Huge
for both
impact.
of them, and primary reasons in addition to some of the other guys. I love what Tarek Skubal said the other day when he found out, and he should start, right? But when he found out he made his second consecutive, that he mentioned other players, including Will Vest and Tommy Canley out of the bullpen. He mentioned Torkelson. He mentioned Casey Mize. He actually mentioned Zach McKinstry as well, who you think would have a case.
I do. Listen, not every Tiger, not all the Tiger players going to make the All-Star team. There's a lot of guys that should, right? I mean, that's how well they're playing. They're one of the best teams in all of baseball.
Well, the Dodgers had 6. And
Well, they're
Detroit
definitely
has
the
more
best
wins.
team in the big leagues right now for me. As far as young talent. Let's just say young talent,
Yeah.
and everybody having a role, and playing it. I guess playing it to in a point where you're not even afraid to make a mistake, or you're not going to start, but you know you're going to get in. I just feel like that's what makes them a good team. Where every night there might be a different hero.
Sure.
And so, but you look at the Dodgers, and I know what you're going to say. They've got all the, they got the big money guys, the Otanis, the Betts. Yes, they are, but they're built like that. They were built
Sure.
to be like one of the best teams because they paid for the best guys. This team, the Tigers, they have developed these guys. This goes a lot. For me, this is about their coaching from the minor leagues to the big leagues. These teams is learning how to win, and it's going to be special to see what happens for the rest of the season.
I don't think their development department gets as much credit. Ryan Garco and company get enough
They don't get
credit
enough
like
credit.
they should be because they are the primary reason. We are brought to you by Emagine Theaters, and every week we have a different movie-like question. One of my sons went to the latest Jurassic Park showing. I think they've got like 7 of those. I've seen a couple of them. At some point, it kind of runs its course, but this one looks interesting, and he thought it was really good. He came home with a big bucket of popcorn, though. Okay, so
Yeah.
he bought the big bucket. He can't eat it all. There's no way one individual can eat it all, or maybe it's just me. What's the best movie snack you have to have when you're at the theater?
You don't want to know. I'm going nachos. Now they got
Nachos?
Hold on, just hear me out.
Okay, all right.
They've got these nice places, like nice movie theater, like here, where you can kick back, you get food delivered to you. So I'll get some nachos, I'll get maybe a hot dog, and then I'm gonna get some Whoppers. You ever heard of Whoppers as a kid?
Oh yeah, really good.
That's my favorite. I have those right now at home beside my bed because that's my go-to snack. And I'll eat some popcorn, Shep. But I'm more about the people just waiting on you while you watch a beautiful movie where you're getting treated. And I have to have a Slurpee.
That's a good one.
I have to have a Slurpee when I'm watching.
I'm with you on that. I'll do the Slurpee, maybe some peanut M&Ms or some licorice, something.
You
that
like
I can
licorice?
just-
I do not like licorice.
Well, hear me out. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Just flipping them in a little bit. I didn't realize this until we were out there getting ready for our podcast at Emagine Theaters. They now serve beer.
Do they?
Which I was unaware of. And it makes me want to go to the movies more, especially since they have some of my favorite beer.
I've got a couple days.
How far are you along in terms of how many beers you would drink watching a movie? Like at a ball game, you get it.
Yes.
What about at a movie?
I don't know. It'd be a good time. But you know what? I'm on a little 30-day hiatus
From
drinking.
From beer or from drinking?
From drinking in general.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not now. I'm kind of sitting
I mean, can you feel it in your body? Do you sense it a little
it's
bit? Or?
gone. Yeah, well, I was trying to get rid of this big belly I have now, but no, I just, it was just a challenge for myself. I was just challenging myself to.
How many more days you got?
What's the date? July the 7th.
Okay.
Okay. I've got 2 days left.
2 days left. When you finish the 30 days and you prove that you've done it, good for you, by the way. Anybody who gives it up, I mean, kudos. You're one of my best friends. He said, I'm done. And for 2 years, he's been like that.
Okay.
We had a golf outing up north, and everybody was, drinking some beers. He stayed true. He was drinking, whatever, diet
I played golf
soda.
yesterday in a little outing, and I stayed true. It was tough.
Yeah, it's not easy. So when the 2 days are up, do you feel like, okay, this has set my course and I'm done? Or do you feel like you dip back into it?
You know what? I'm not really sure, but I can say yesterday there was a part of me that said, you know what? Man, a good cold one would be good right
Every once in a while.
So, yeah, no, it was going to be every once in a while, but not that I had a problem with it. I just wanted to challenge myself to just do it.
Good for you.
It worked out.
Yeah.
It's working out.
Yeah.
But I am going to pop one.
Well, by the next time we have Catching Up with CMO and Shep, we'll have another story in that regard, and we'll have another movie question for you brought to you by Emagine Theaters. I want to thank Sean and Lucas for their production of our podcast here today. Thanks to Nate Robertson as well. Make sure you like us on all our social media channels, and make sure you follow us, especially Catching Up with CMO and Shep. We're back with you next week for another edition. Have a great week, everybody, and thanks for tuning in.